A Paperless Office module is included with SageMass 90 and SageMass 200 ERP. This module converts your important documents to PDF format and stores them for later retrieval. You can easily find files, view reports and forms, and print only the pages you need. It can also deliver your forms to your customers and vendors via email and fax. In this tutorial, we'll look at how to set up Paperless Office specifically for journals and registers and their associated documents. We'll also run through creation and posting of an example invoice to show how Paperless Office works. So now let's jump right in and get started. We'll begin by going to the Task menu tree and click Paperless Office, Setup, Paperless Office Options. Under the Enable Electronic Delivery and PDF Storage section is where we select the categories of documents to print to PDF files. As you can see, the options are Forms, Reports, Journals and Registers, and Period End Reports. In this tutorial, we're focusing only on Journals and Registers. The next section, Load Data on Initial Viewer Access, is an option to populate the viewer list box with all documents stored. So if we check Journal and Register Viewer, this will show us a list of all of these documents when we open the Paperless Office Viewer list box. You may not want to enable this option because as your database of documents grows over time, the list will take longer to load. Accordingly, we're going to leave this feature disabled, so when we open the Viewer list box, no items will be shown until we enter some criteria. The final section, Keep Only the Last PDF Copy, means that anytime a register is printed, it will overwrite any previous versions. For this tutorial, we want all versions of a document to be saved, so we will not select this option. Now we'll click Accept to save our setup selections. The next step is to define the company, modules, and documents to enable for storage. To do this, we'll return to the Task menu tree and under Paperless Office Setup, select Journal and Register Maintenance. Here we'll start by entering the code for our company, which is ABC. Next, we'll identify the module to enable for Paperless Office, and using the lookup, we'll highlight and select Accounts Payable. Moving to Documents, here you can choose specific documents or all documents, and for our example, let's choose All Documents. This setting will apply to all journals and registers generated from the Accounts Payable module. You'll need to tell the system the location of your PDF directory where the journals and registers will be stored. You can browse to the folder or enter the path manually. As you can see, for our example, we created a folder named Paperless under our Sage software directory. We then created a subfolder for journals and registers. Note that in a network environment, you'll need to enter the UNC path to the Paperless folder. The next option is to auto-create PDF. We'll select Yes, so anytime we print a journal, it will automatically be saved as a PDF document. Password Protect allows the assignment of a password that must be entered in order to view the PDF document after it's created. This field is available only if Prompt or Yes is selected under the Auto Create PDF option. We'll leave it as No, so no password will be required. The next item selected is Prompt for Associated PDF during Journal/Register printing. This provides an option to link a journal or register to a supporting PDF document, which in the case of our example will be a scanned copy of our vendor's invoice. We can elect to delete associated PDFs when a journal or register is deleted in the viewer. We'll leave it as Prompt. And finally, we're asked to enter the path for the associated PDF directory files. For our example, we previously created a folder that we named AP, where associated PDF documents will be stored. Again, in a network environment, you must enter the UNC path to the Paperless folder. Now let's click Accept to save our setup options and close the window. Now that we've completed setup of Paperless Office for Accounts Payable journals and registers, let's go ahead and see it in action by creating and posting an AP invoice. We'll start by returning to the Task menu tree and selecting Accounts Payable, Main, Invoice Data Entry. Here we'll enter an invoice from our vendor, Stevens Supply, and we'll open the lookup, highlight them, and hit Select. For invoice number, we'll enter 12370, and we'll accept the default invoice date, and the invoice amount will be $128.56. Now we'll move to the Lines tab to verify that a GL account has been associated with this entry. And as you can see, a default GL account previously set up in vendor maintenance has populated the line. So now we'll click Accept to save the invoice and close the AP invoice data entry screen. Next, we'll post the invoice to the vendor. To do this, we'll go to the menu tree and under Accounts Payable, Main, we'll select Invoice Register. Here we'll accept the posting date, and it's important to note here that you must select Print and not Preview in order for the system to create the paperless PDF document. So now we'll click Print to start the invoice register, and the associated PDF prompt opens, and notice that the directory path for saving the document defaults from the setup that we completed earlier in this tutorial. We'll click the Browse button to locate the copy of our vendor's invoice that we previously scanned manually. In this case, we want to associate the manually scanned vendor invoice with the register, so now we'll select the document to make the association. And let's click OK to continue with the update process. And after a few moments, the Accounts Payable Invoice Register opens in PDF format, and a quick review confirms the transaction and will close the window. Let's click Yes to update the invoice register, and Yes again to print the daily transaction register, and the Print dialog window opens. It's at this point that the Paperless Office will create and save the register as a PDF document. Again, you must select Print and not Preview in order for the system to create the paperless PDF. So now let's hit Print. In our example, we'll skip associating a PDF document with our daily transaction register and click OK, and the daily transaction register opens. All appears correct, and we'll close the window and click Yes to update the daily transaction register. At any time, we can choose to view or print the journal, associated document, or daily transaction register. Let's take a look by going to the menu tree and under Paperless Office, select Main, Journal, and Register Viewer. The system defaults to the current company code, and notice that no documents are listed. This follows our setup choice not to load data on initial viewer access to avoid slow loading as our document database grows. So now let's enter the AP module code using the lookup, and we'll highlight Accounts Payable and hit Select. And we'll leave Document set to All Documents and enter an accounting date range. And now that we've set our display parameters, we'll click Refresh to load the viewer box. Our list box contains the daily transaction and invoice registers that were created by our example transactions. Let's highlight the invoice register and hit the Open PDF button, which allows us to view and print the document. Let's now close it, and you may recall that in our example, we associated a manually scanned copy of the vendor invoice with the invoice register. We can view this scanned invoice by highlighting the invoice register and clicking the Open Associated PDF button. Let's now close this and note that the AP Daily Transaction Register is also listed here and may be viewed as well. And that completes our tutorial. So to recap, accounts payable journals and registers can be stored in a predefined Paperless Office location and easily accessed for review or reprinting at any time. Registers may also be linked to supporting PDF documents. Give us a call if you need assistance with this or any other feature in your SageMass 90 or SageMass 200 system. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Bye for now.